have another question.
Okay.
So, how many phases are in the menstrual cycle? Do you know?
Well, I'm not a woman, so enlighten me.
So there's 4 stages of the menstrual cycle, okay? Ovulation, I'm gonna go in order. Menstruation, follicular, ovulation, and the luteal phase. During which of those phases can a woman be pregnant? When can she get pregnant? Which of those phases?
During ovulation.
And luteal, yes. So I already know the answer to this question. So I know the answer to this question. Have you ever had a menstrual cycle before?
No.
Okay, great. So knowing that, and you just saying, I don't know the phases of the menstrual cycle, which I don't blame you for being, you don't have that. So then, knowing this, you don't know everything about the female reproductive system. How are you going to make legislation to hurt women and women's rights?
Are men allowed to have opinions on abortion?
You can have opinions on abortion, but what I'm saying is, how are these men going to create this legislation?
Got it. So, well, men are allowed to have opinion on moral matters too, right?
Right.
Got it. So if I was a male OBGYN, is it okay for that person to make issues of legislation?
Well, they're educated. They understand. They are educated on the female reproductive system, so they can.
So if I don't know everything intimately about the female reproductive system, sit down and shut up, you're a man.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You can have an opinion.
That's kind of what
It's all right if you have an opinion. I'm saying it's not all right if you don't understand how the female reproductive system works.
Okay, so let's pop quiz. When does heartbeats begin for babies in utero?
Have you ever eaten an egg before? That's yes or no. Have you ever eaten an egg before?
Scrambled, yeah.
Okay, so would that be you scrambled a full chicken?
Well, hold on. You understand it takes an egg to be fertilized?
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But your point,
So,
the whole
so
point you're making.
Hold
Is
on.
that
So,
a
no,
baby?
since we're doing pop quiz on like human development, so when exactly do heart waves begin in utero?
You know that, but you don't know the full
Hold on, no,
story.
so tell me when heartbeat.
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know.
No.
So wait, hold on. So you're trying to say I know more about the woman reproductive system than you do?
I am a woman, so yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, but the point being is we could both go back and forth of like independent trivial facts when it comes to the woman's reproductive system. But here's something we all know, because God wrote this on the human heart of every individual, as it says in the book of Romans. We know deep down it's wrong to murder a baby.
You're not murdering a baby. It's not a baby.
Okay, well let's play this out. What is it then?
It is an embryo, which is not a baby.
Well, okay, so it's fertilized embryo.
Correct.
Right.
Which is not a baby.
So at what point does it become a baby?
When it is born.
Oh.
I don't agree with abortions up to full-term abortions.
Well, hold on, but you said it becomes a baby when it's born.
Yes.
Then why would you have abortion limits before it's born? I thought it's just an embryo. So embryo rights?
No, the embryo rights aren't a
But
thing.
then where would you draw a line for abortion then, and why, and under what moral standard?
There are medical reasons not
No,
to have an abortion
no, that's
full
not the
term.
question. That's not the
Yes, it is.
question.
You just asked me why would I not have an abortion full term for medical reasons.
Okay, so at 29 weeks, the baby is nearly fully developed, can recognize the mother's voice, has a heartbeat, has brain waves. Is it okay to abort that baby?
I don't, it's not okay, but you're going to say it's okay to have an abortion then. I don't understand what you're trying to say. It's not okay to have an abortion ever? How
Correct.
about 3
Yes.
weeks in?
Correct. No abortion. Correct.
Why?
Well, because your life started at conception.
It did not, though. It did not.
Well, hold on. So let's play this out. So who are you as an individual? From your skin color to your eye color to your likes, your dislikes, from your temperament to your everything.
I am not an embryo. I'm a person.
Hold on a second. But it started with something called deoxyribonucleic acid. And your own individual DNA started at the point of egg and sperm meeting. That's where your journey started. And so from that point in particular, life begins. Not at birth, not at first words, not at first steps, but when your DNA, which is who you actually are. You are your DNA. Every one of your DNA cells is coded XX or XY. It's coded with all of your unique characteristics and attributes that we believe God individually curated for the rest of your life. That doesn't happen at 8 weeks or 10 weeks. It happens at conception.
What happens if you need a medical abortion? If the mother will die if she does not get an abortion?
So
what's your stance on
the
that?
only place where medical abortion is necessary is before 20 weeks, which is incredibly rare.
What if she will die? What if the mother will die?
Hold on a second. So let's take they, for example, like, this is a very important question. Let's say it's 27 weeks, okay? And the mother will die. Why shouldn't, you could agree, why don't we just have the baby delivered by cesarean section? You know what a cesarean section is, right?
Yes.
What is a cesarean section?
A C-section?
Yeah, why wouldn't we just put the baby out by C-section instead of terminating it?
Because if the mother will die, it's not safe to do that.
You remove the baby.
I understand.
Threat removed.
I know what a C-section is.
But it's actually safer than an abortion. So every time they say, this is for you guys, they say, oh, you need to have abortion for medical reasons, respond, then have a C-section.
What if you're not able to have a C-section? What if you are on your deathbed, you need to have an abortion right now?
Well, again, but...
And it's illegal. You can't, so you have to die.
First and foremost, C-section is safer, C-section is quicker, and a C-section saves both lives. A C-section
The baby is already dead, you just said.
No, but even... No. Hold on a second. You're saying if the baby's already dead, then it isn't even an abortion, right? Then you're talking about a removal of a carcass, which is a completely different medical operation.
So you're saying that's okay if you're having...
If you're If you're removing a carcass of a baby, that is not an abortion, by definition.
Same process.
No, it's completely different. During an abortion, they actually inject the spinal fluid with cyanide poisoning as the baby squirms and tries to find its mother, and it is gasping for air of life. Have you ever watched an abortion? It is one of the... Yeah, actually I have. And I encourage every human being to watch one to know what you are fighting against. Because when you see abortion, you will have your life will be changed. That we allow the massacre of 1.5 million babies a year under the guise of woman reproductive health. What do Andrea Bocelli, Steph Curry, Justin Bieber, and Tim Tebow have in common? All of their mothers were encouraged to end their pregnancies. When a woman faces an unplanned pregnancy, she is often pressured to end her child's life. She wants to make the right choice, but society and those around her are telling her that her baby is not a life. That's where the Ministry of Preborn steps in. Preborn and their network of clinics offers compassionate, loving care to mothers and the support they need to help them choose life, including a free ultrasound. Once a mother hears their child's beautiful heartbeat, she is twice as likely to choose life. If you consider yourself pro-life, it's time to join forces with Preborn. I'm a donor, and you should be too. Together, we can empower women to choose life, empower the truth of motherhood, transforms families and futures. One ultrasound is just $28, and a $140 gift will help to rescue 5 babies. When you donate monthly, you'll receive stories and pictures of lives you helped to save. Please dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby, or visit preborn.com/Charlie. That is preborn.com/Charlie, sponsored by Preborn. We are allowing babies every single year to just say, we're going to discard them. Why? Oh, they're smaller. They're not humans. You're using dehumanizing language, saying, oh, it's an embryo. No, that's a baby made in the image of God, deserving of protection.
What do you do with those children once they're born into a bad household?
So now we've transitioned to, what do you do with the kids?
Right.
Glad we're past the other part of the argument, okay? What do you do with them? There's twice as many people on the adoption waiting list than there are abortions every single year.
And they're still on the list. So you want to send a child into an orphanage? Is that what you want for a child? Is that a good life for a child?
No, I'm not advocating that. In fact, I'm advocating to make it easier to be able to adopt, number one. Number two, there's no such thing as an unwanted child. Number three, it is never right to justify the mass elimination or termination of people under the guise of saying they're unwanted. That's how we get Auschwitz. That's how we get the greatest horrors of the 20th century. Those people are unwanted.
So you're comparing abortion to the Holocaust?
Absolutely, I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse.
It's really not.
It's 45 million babies. It's nearly 8 times worse than the Holocaust. What's the moral difference between a small baby in the womb and a grown Jew who was killed at Auschwitz? What's the moral difference? One is older?
Is a person?
What species is the baby in the womb?
It's a human. But
therefore, they should have human rights.
No.
They should have human rights.
I do not agree.
Oh, so small humans, no human rights. Grown humans, human rights.
It's not a small human. It's an embryo.
You just said it was a human species.
It's not a living human child.
Wait, it's not a what?
It's not a child.
But
it's not a living child.
It has a heartbeat. It has brain waves.
That does not make it a child.
But tell me when it becomes a child then.
I already told you, when it is born.
Again, so under every other objective definition, you see guys how quickly the pro-abortion arguments fall apart with just the slightest questioning? But our position is one rooted not in feelings, not in personal autonomy, but one in biological consistency and reality. That your life had an agreed upon starting point, that starting point should be protected and preserved. And the excuses given for abortion is dehumanization. Oh, it's just an embryo. Guys, that's just using different language to justify the massacre of something smaller than you. That's all that it is. So here are the big objections. Size. It's smaller than me, then I should be able to get rid of it. I'm 6'5". Should I be able to murder people smaller than me? Of course not. You don't